What is your reaction on Ivy League president's failure to condemn genocide of Jews as bullying or harassment? And what about Canadian universities?
Canadian universities are likely the same. We've been dealing with this at York for a while. I remember I had a friend, Lauren Isaacs, who when she went to York a few years ago, there was an event where she brought SSRI, Israeli reservists on to, just have an event to explain perspective. There was a riot and violence, and they failed to protect the students and people. And, then the university decided to, condemn both sides. It was wrong that the Jews got attacked and that the people attacked the Jews. Concordia, I won't go over on this program the nickname Concordia has among certain circles, but it's been a hotbed for this. McGill produced a student union, and that gave us a Liberal MP who helped run and coordinate a Punch a Zionist in the Face Day a few years ago. He's now in Parliament. The rot here on the sort of, you could say, anti-Israel stuff has been there for decades, and you're now seeing that this ideology has taken sort of full form. So listen, the Penn, the University of Penn, they had to resign. Someone literally threatened to withhold hundreds of millions of dollars, and that forced their hand. But Harvard, you saw many academics supporting this. The world saw this. Is threatening genocide to Jews directly considered bullying or harassment under your policy? Depends. Depends who's doing it. Because that actually is the academic answer. So there's a reason why 600 academics are supporting this, because the actual modern academic answer among the social sciences is it actually does depend on the context for when evil counts or not, and it's intersection. So if it's the tree of life, which is a white supremacist saying, see Kyle, blood and soil, we need to kill the Jews because they're communists or they're letting in, they're behind mass migration or something, then this is when we fight anti-Semitism. And we will always stand with the Jews when it is convenient. So that's what they mean. But if these are radical Islamists and communists, and they are screaming about killing Jews, there's only one solution: Intifada revolution. The phraseology is deliberate and clear there. The only one solution, it's a direct callback to Adolf Hitler and the final solution, and Eichmann's final solution, the Holocaust. Antifada revolution, Antifadas, these were they say uprising or shaking off. These were mass terror campaigns in the 80s and then 2000s. We're talking suicide bombings on buses, grocery markets, pizza shops, cafes. This is why Israel had the security wall and all these checkpoints. Why do all these checkpoints come here? Why are there checkpoints? Which is kind of like, why is there a border crossing between Canada and the United States? This is apartheid. But the checkpoints were put up because of the suicide bombings. People are just coming in from the territories, explosive vests, killing, and a couple times a week for the early beginning 2000, because there was a false, there was a propaganda campaign and then other explosions. Intifada. This is what they were. And in case it's not clear, revolution. And then they called to globalize the Intifada. What's the end game here? And then yes, from the river to the sea, that one too. I've written an article on the etymology of from the river to the sea. We don't need to go into it here. I mean, if you want to look it up, it's a catchy name, From the River to the Sea, a genocidal entomology. There you go, you can find that. But this is, bullying and harassment. These are mobs of people threatening violence and harassment, but it's not counted as violence because the world is split into oppressors and oppressed, and you must decolonize. And anything that someone who is basically perceived to be of the oppressed class has all justification to do whatever they want to fight the oppressor class, because the only thing that matters is this paradigm. The maintenance of this idea to the academia is of prime importance, that they are right. So, of course it matters the context in which you want to threaten and harass and kill Jews, because in some cases, Jews can be considered oppressed by neo-Nazis. In some cases, we'll consider them oppressors. And in order to maintain this worldview, because this worldview will drive us towards utopia, because that's always it. We're just if we get the perfect system, when we purge a few people and we purge a few more people, we'll get to this system where everyone will be happy, but everyone must accept this paradigm. Everyone must become a believer. It's in a sense, religious fanaticism. This is why they get along so well with the Islamists, because they're all trying to convert people to this one worldview that will bring apart utopia. And anything that threatens the worldview is dangerous. So these Jewish students who are complaining about anti-Semitism It's fine and dandy when you do that if it's blood and soil, tiki torches, those people. When it is jihadists and Islamists, well, this threatens the narrative. And that is why we must fight to decolonize their minds. This is a system of whiteness, blah, 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 on and on and on. So, of course, the Harvard, and this has been the idea for, and you're seeing this this isn't fringe institution. This isn't, I forget where the Brett Weinstein incident, Evergreen, I think Evergreen, Brett Weinstein one, where tiny little college, Evergreen College, this and that. This is Harvard, the New York Times, Penn, Washington, like this is the major institutions, and you see this idea is now primacy. It's a commitment to diversity and equity and inclusion. That's what it means. It is a commitment to this sort of neo-communist worldview of oppressor and oppressed, where they've taken the bourgeoisie and the proletariat. They realize the working class will never support socialism because it doesn't benefit them. And they don't really like the working class anyway, because the working class has to work and they don't have time to think about all these fancy, crazy ideas that never work. So they've now switched to oppressor and oppressed. You take whatever class, and the game here to lots of people is, oh, jump into the program. If you're a Jew, just claim to be oppressed and only complain about neo-Nazis, and then you can be safe within the system. You have to give in. White people, you must, always apologize forever, but you can be a woman, or you can be this, or maybe you're non-binary now. You have a haircut. Get a new haircut. You're now non-binary. Hey, you can get on this too, right? As long as you adopt the worldview, you're all good. And as soon as you step outside the worldview, like I on her CLE, Black, African, refugee, woman, a survivor of female genital mutilation, all the things in the categories. But she quite publicly jumped out of the categories and said, no, like freedom, liberty, Western values. This is what I came for. So when they tried to assassinate her, none of these academics support her. In fact, they justify the assassinations.
Yeah.
Where's the academic? Where's the Harvard rallying students for Salman Rushdie to protect great literary figures from global fatwas from the Ayatollahs in Iran? Where are these? And that's the thing. So, a lot of us have trying to been blowing the whistle on this for a long time. I think what the world is now seeing is the literal manifestation of these ideologies in action. It's been years and years and years, and for a long time, you sort of have these adults in charge, sort of the old stock people there, the Joe Biden class, where it's like, we're liberals from an old time, we still say these things, oh, that's just the kids with the radical ideas. And, I've talked to a lot of academics. They're some of the most naive, in some ways, sheltered people you've ever met. We can't do that. There's lots of ideas flying around. They've denied this. But hey, it's now taken hold. Like, the institutions have been captured. The human resources departments and bureaucracies are filled with people who believe that, listen, if you're threatening to run around and kill and harass Jews, it might not be a bad thing depending on who you are. There is no universal wrong or right or evil. And October 7th, the rape and pillage, like you saw, they justified that. There were celebrations on October 7th and 8th in Canada, in Mississauga. Celebrations to all of this. And that's not considered bullying or harassment. And you would say to most people, that's obvious bullying and harassment because that's what it is. But to someone who holds this, what I would phrase as a neo-communist worldview, it's not, because the ends always justify the means. And the ends is utopia. And it's a deeply flawed utopia, think of it, but also, you cannot make it utopias. You cannot force everyone to think the same way. You cannot wish the world to be as you want it to be. You must deal with the world as it is. And that is a fundamental failing of academia. And you saw it play out in front of millions of people, where the leaders of these institutions, when asked straight up, is advocating for a genocide, should it be allowed? Is it harassment? Yes or no?